I never meant to say it out loud. I should have kept it buried deep in my mind, brushed away like a passing thought. But my lips betrayed me on that warm Saturday afternoon. In Austin, Texas, sunlight pouring through the living room windows, bathing everything in a lazy golden glow. I was sitting on the couch beside my husband Aiden, laughing about some silly memory from college, something small and meaningless, yet comforting when my eyes drifted toward the open window. And that was when I saw him, Noah, our neighbor, moving across his lawn, shirtless muscles flexing under the sun glistening with sweat. The mower pushing forward slowly, steadily, and I could not look away, even though I tried. There was something about the way he carried himself, the effortless strength, the quiet control that made it impossible not to notice. I am married, yes, completely devoted to Aiden, yet this small spark of curiosity rose within me, a whisper of forbidden thought, and before I could stop myself, the word slipped out. I bet Noah is big. I froze immediately, my hand flying to my mouth, my cheeks burning with embarrassment. I had actually said it out loud. I expected Aiden to explode with anger, to glare at me, to turn away in hurt, but instead he just paused, his laughter, his eyes locking onto mine, a slow smile spreading across his face, a smile that made my stomach twist in confusion and a strange, fluttering excitement. "You think so?" he asked softly, almost teasingly. I panicked, scrambling to take it back. "No, I did not mean that. It was just a stupid thought. It was nothing. Please forget." I said it. I could feel my heart hammering against my ribs, and yet he just leaned back, folding his arms, watching me with an intensity that made me feel both exposed and thrillingly alive. There was no anger in his expression, only curiosity, something dangerous and new. "I am not mad," he said calmly, "not even a little." My jaw dropped, his eyes sparkling with a mischievous light. What he said next made my pulse race. "I am just wondering how curious you really are." I froze at the words, my lips parted, ready to deny, but no sound came out. A shiver ran down my spine. "I am not," he whispered, almost laughing a little, but his eyes told me he did not believe me at all, and I did not believe myself. I could not tell him the truth, not yet the thought of curiosity, the tiniest spark of desire for something forbidden, for someone outside the safe world of our marriage, made my skin prickle. I tried to look away, to focus on something mundane inside the room, the light on the coffee table, the shadow of the blinds across the floor, but I could not escape the way Aiden watched me so intently, and the way I felt under his gaze, as if he could see every hidden thought and unspoken longing. He leaned closer, his voice dropping to a murmur near my ear, something that sent a thrill running through me. "I just wonder what would happen if someone like him made you wonder out loud." Again, my breath caught my chest. Tight, my pulse quickened. I felt a strange mix of fear and excitement, a dangerous curiosity I was not supposed to have, and yet could not resist. He kissed my cheek lightly and stood up casually, going to the kitchen to get us iced tea, as if nothing had shifted, as if the air between us had not changed, as if the small spark that had ignited in my mind could be ignored, but I knew it could not. I kept my eyes on the window, Noah, still mowing his lawn, unaware of the storm he had started with his presence and his effortless strength. I looked back at Aiden for guidance or reassurance, but he only smiled lightly, the kind of smile that held secrets and possibilities, and I realized with a shiver that everything in my marriage could be different now. Nothing had changed outwardly, but inside a game had begun, a game of curiosity, temptation, and unspoken desire, and I was not sure who was truly in control, me, my husband, or the quiet neighbor outside whose body had ignited thoughts I should have never allowed to surface. And I sat there, frozen and trembling and exhilarated and terrified all at once, knowing that nothing would ever feel quite the same again. The next morning, sunlight filtered through the blinds, painting stripes across the bedroom floor. I lay in bed, next to Aiden, my body still, humming from the tension of yesterday, the memory of his words, and the way he looked at me, replaying over and over in my mind. I could feel the pull of curiosity twisting inside me, a dangerous electric thrill that made me simultaneously excited and guilty. I tried to focus on mundane things, the soft hum of the air conditioner, the distant sound of traffic outside the window, the familiar warmth of Aiden beside me, but my thoughts kept drifting to Noah and the way his muscles moved, the casual strength in his movements, the effortless confidence he carried, like he owned the world. I could not deny the flutter of longing in my chest, the pull of something forbidden, something I should not be thinking about, but could not stop myself from imagining. Aiden shifted slightly beside me, his hand brushing against mine lightly, and I felt a shiver run through me. I turned, my head to look at him, his blue eyes. Catching the light in a way that made my heart skip a beat, he smiled. Faintly, that slow, knowing smile from yesterday, and I wondered what he was thinking. He leaned closer, lowering his voice just enough for me to hear. I could see the way your mind wanders, he said, teasingly, almost whispering. I froze, for a moment unsure if he was joking or serious, and then he smirked a little. Maybe you should tell me everything. I felt heat rush to my cheeks, and my stomach twisted in knots. I wanted to speak, but no words came out. The memory of his teasing from yesterday and the dangerous spark in his eyes made me hesitate. I could not help but imagine what he meant, and a thrill shot through me. I realized that he was testing me, seeing how far he could push my curiosity, seeing what I might reveal. Without even realizing it, I looked toward the window and saw Noah again, this time carrying a box of something out to his car, his shirt sticking to his skin in the early morning heat, his movements deliberate, strong, and again impossible not to notice. I turned back to Aiden, who was now sitting up, watching me carefully, like he had some secret plan I could not read. Felt my pulse quicken and a strange shiver run through me. I wanted to protest that I was just being silly, that none of this mattered, that I was fully committed to Aiden, yet even as I tried to convince myself, my mind betrayed me and wandered to thoughts I should not have entertained. His presence, his words had opened a door in my mind that I could not close. I could see the day stretching ahead of us with errands and chores, and yet all I could focus on was the dangerous play between Aiden and me, the way he seemed to encourage a curiosity I was supposed to hide, and I wondered just how far he would take it and what it would mean for us and our quiet, normal life. And for the first time in a long time, I felt the delicious edge of something new, something thrilling and terrifying, and I knew without a doubt that nothing would be the same after this day, and that the spark he had ignited would not be easily extinguished. I got up to make coffee, my hands shaking slightly from anticipation and nerves, and the smell of fresh coffee did nothing to ground me as I stole glances toward the window to see Noah closing his car door, his back to me, and I felt a jolt through my body. I could not stop myself from imagining his movements, replaying them in my mind while Aiden leaned against the counter behind me, watching every little reaction. I tried to act casual, pretending to focus on the coffee, but I knew he knew exactly what I was thinking, and that knowledge made my pulse race. I turned slightly to see him, smirking faintly, and I felt the dangerous pull of the game. We were both playing the subtle dance of temptation, curiosity, and hidden desire, a game that had no rules and no clear end, and I was completely and utterly drawn in. And even as I sipped my coffee and tried to think of mundane things, I could not stop imagining what would happen next and how far we might take this, and whether anyone outside this room would ever understand the silent electric tension that now lived between us. And I knew that today would be different in ways I could not yet name, but that would ripple through every glance, every word, every small touch. And I felt a thrill of fear and excitement all at once as I realized that the ordinary life I had known was quietly slipping into something much more dangerous and irresistibly compelling. The afternoon sun poured through the living room windows, casting long shadows across the hardwood floor. I sat on the couch, my hands clasped around a mug of iced tea, trying to act normal while my mind raced back to this morning and the dangerous spark that had ignited. Between Aiden and me, I could feel the pull of curiosity twisting inside me, a tight coil of anticipation and guilt that made my stomach flutter every time I remembered the way he had looked at me earlier, the subtle teasing, the quiet intensity that made it impossible to ignore, the memory of Noah outside, moving with effortless strength, and the way my mind had betrayed me, imagining things I was not supposed to think about. I heard Aiden moving around the kitchen behind me, soft footsteps and the clink of dishes, and I felt a shiver run down my spine because I knew he was watching me, studying every little reaction as if trying to measure the depth of my curiosity. I tried to sip my iced tea casually, pretending to focus on the cool liquid, but my gaze kept drifting toward the window, toward Noah, whose movements were slow, deliberate, and completely unaware of the silent tension he had stirred just by existing. Aiden leaned against the counter, his arms crossed, his eyes fixed on me, and I felt exposed in a way that was both thrilling and terrifying. He smiled faintly, that slow, knowing smile that made me feel as if he held some secret that I was not ready to understand. I wanted to speak, to break the spell, to say something normal, something safe, but no words came out, because inside I was tangled in the electric threads of desire, curiosity, and forbidden thought. Aiden pushed off the counter and came closer, his Footsteps quiet and measured until he stood behind me, his hand brushing lightly against my shoulder, and a jolt ran through me. I turned slightly to meet his gaze and saw the mischievous glint in his eyes that made my pulse hammer in my chest. I could feel the weight of unspoken suggestion in his touch, the thrill of a secret game that only the two of us understood, and I shivered. At the dangerous edge of it all, I glanced toward the window again and caught sight of Noah bending to adjust something on the lawn, the sunlight glinting off his bare back, the simple, casual power of his movements, making my heart race and my thoughts betray me once more. I looked back at Aiden, who was now leaning close, his voice a low whisper almost brushing against my ear. "What if I said you could explore it a little more?" he murmured softly, and I felt my stomach tighten. My mind screamed, "No, this is insane," and yet another part of me, a part I did not want to admit, was curious and excited and terrified all at once. I froze under his gaze, trying to measure the edge of this dangerous invitation, and the thrill that coursed through me made it impossible to deny how alive I felt, how much I wanted to see what would happen next. I felt my hands tremble slightly as he rested a hand on my arm, his eyes never leaving mine, and I realized with a sudden clarity that the ordinary rhythm of our marriage had shifted into something I could not predict, and that today would be the beginning of a game I had never known I could play. And the thought made my pulse race and my breath hitch. I sipped my iced tea again, pretending to be calm, but inside I was unraveling, imagining the subtle touches, the whispered suggestions, and the forbidden curiosity that now lived between us, and the way Aiden watched me so carefully, as if daring me to respond, and I knew that I would respond in some way, even though I did not yet know how or what or when, because the game had already begun, and I was completely and utterly caught in it. And as I looked back toward Noah outside, still moving with quiet strength, I felt a thrill of possibility and danger weaving together in a way that made me ache with anticipation and fear, and I knew with a shiver that nothing would ever feel ordinary again, because Aiden had opened a door I could not close, and I had stepped inside willingly, and I could feel the pulse of the day stretching ahead, full of unspoken tension, challenges, and the delicious edge of curiosity that would not be denied. The sun was dipping low in the sky, casting a warm orange glow across the neighborhood. I sat on the porch with Aiden beside me, our hands brushing lightly against each other, in a touch that was casual on the surface, but charged with unspoken tension. I kept glancing toward Noah, who was finishing up some work in his yard, shirtless, the last rays of sun glinting off his skin, the effortless power in his movements, making my pulse quicken and my thoughts betray me once. Again, Aiden leaned back in his chair, his eyes on me, watching every subtle reaction, the slow smile playing across his lips, the same smile that had unsettled and thrilled me since the first slip of words 2 days ago. I tried to focus on the fading sunlight, the hum of distant traffic, the gentle rustle of leaves in the wind, but my mind kept drifting to the forbidden curiosity that had taken root, the small spark that now burned steadily inside me, a spark that Aiden seemed intent on fanning rather than extinguishing. He shifted slightly, leaning closer, his voice low and teasing, just enough for me to feel it brush against my ear. "I can see exactly what you are thinking," he murmured softly, and a shiver ran down my spine, my stomach tightening with anticipation. I wanted to protest, to tell him this was insane, to remind myself that Noah was just a neighbor, and that I loved Aiden with everything inside me, but the thrill of the game, the pull of curiosity, the danger of the unspoken made it impossible to speak. I turned my head toward the window once again and saw Noah stretch after, putting away some tools, his movements casual and effortless, and a jolt of something forbidden ran through me. At the same time, I felt Aiden's hand slide to rest lightly on my knee, his touch deliberate, slow, and confident, and I realized with a shiver that he was daring me to acknowledge the pull. I felt the dangerous edge of it all, making my heartbeat thunder in my chest. I tried to sip my iced tea, pretending to focus on the cool liquid, but my mind was alive with anticipation, imagining every subtle glance, every movement, every possibility of what might happen if I let myself be completely honest with him. Aiden shifted again, leaning closer, whispering that small, playful challenge. "Do you want to see how far this curiosity can go?" And I felt my pulse spike, my body trembling with a mix of fear, excitement, and longing. I did not answer immediately, because the truth was I wanted to see what would happen, to feel the thrill of forbidden attraction, tested and measured by the only person I trusted to navigate it safely. Yet even as my thoughts swirled, I knew this was dangerous and exhilarating all at once. I felt the tension coil inside me like a living thing, alive and insistent. And Aiden watched me with that slow knowing smile that made me ache with desire and curiosity at the same time. I could not stop thinking of Noah moving outside, the way his muscles flexed, the casual strength, the simple power of presence that had started all of this, and I realized with a shiver that Aiden had orchestrated a dance of temptation and suspense that I had willingly stepped into, and now I could not turn back. Glanced at Aiden, who leaned back slightly, watching me still smiling faintly, and I knew that the boundaries of my ordinary life had shifted into something uncharted, something thrilling, and slightly dangerous, a game without rules, and I was caught in it completely and utterly. I felt my breath hitch and my stomach flutter as I imagined what the next moments might bring, the teasing, the curiosity, the subtle provocations that would draw me further into this emotional tension, and I knew with a deep shiver that everything in our lives was quietly changing, and that the spark of forbidden attraction and suspense that had begun with a single careless thought and a glance through the window would now guide the day, the evening, the nights, and perhaps even the quiet moments of our ordinary life in ways that I could not yet name, but that would never let me feel ordinary again. And as the sun finally dipped behind the horizon, painting the sky in deep oranges and purples, realized that I was both terrified and exhilarated, completely alive in a way I had never been before, and I knew that Aiden had opened a door to something thrilling and dangerous, and I had crossed the threshold willingly, knowing that curiosity, desire, and suspense would now live in every glance, every touch, and every thought between us for a long time to come.